You know, the real joy is that once you're flying, you look down and you see the beauty of the earth, you know, in all kinds of weather conditions. Sometimes you're up above the clouds, and it's a truly spiritual experience. It brings you closer to the Lord, makes you appreciate what He has given us.
Flying keeps me trusting in the Lord, because it does, without knowing Him and knowing that He's watching my back, you know, and then it wouldn't be worth flying.
"12 years ago, with a colleague of mine, Roscoe Bartlett, we founded Inspiration Aviation Ministries. And the mission was to bring youngsters into aviation as long as they were able to commit to the Lord's Word through the Bible, through Bible study as well. We thought that combining the discipline of aviation training, both at the ground school level and flight, would really humble youngsters, just like we as pilots have been humbled when we first get up into the air, and bring us closer to the Lord and learn about eternity, because when you first get up there alone, when you do your solo, you really start to think very hard about life, how precious life is, and also how fragile it is if you make a mistake in the air. So this was the basic philosophy, and we have been implementing that over the last 12 years, and it is working for us. We've brought several youngsters through the program. They're now successful missionary pilots, but more importantly, they've committed their lives to Jesus.
Our mission here is to share the gospel. We want to share the gospel here in Maine. We want to outreach to teens in Maine. So our program is tailored towards teenagers, and we want to get teens involved in aviation and then also be able to share the gospel with them or encourage them in their walk with God. So, but also we would like to send out missionary pilots. Being a missionary and a pilot, it's very niche type of job, but it's also very needed. Not very many people do it. So if that's something that is on your heart, maybe to be a missionary, but also to, if you like aviation, you can combine those things. I didn't even know missionary pilots were a thing until a few years ago. So you might not even know that's a thing until now. So hopefully, if our goal is to send out missionaries, but also to minister here in Maine in a discipleship type of way to teens here in Maine, and give teens an opportunity to pursue a flight career when they might not be able to have that opportunity otherwise. So a missionary pilot is somebody who works overseas to take missionaries from one place to another. A lot of remote areas, like in Africa, Indonesia, those type of island areas where there's not good transportation. Other types of transportation would be by foot over mountains, or with Indonesia with islands and things like that, from one island to another, by boat and then by foot. So there's aviation is one of the only ways to get from one place to another in any short amount of time. Basically, missionary pilots, they serve missionaries by helping with transportation. They also help with medical evacuation. If somebody has a medical emergency, they won't survive a 5-day walking trip to the nearest hospital. And so a flight might be, the missionary pilot might be the difference between life and death for somebody who has a medical emergency out in the bush. And so the missionary pilots are a support. They're a tech support type of person for the missionaries. And a lot of times they are also missionaries to the people that they're working with. So that it's more than just being a chauffeur. You're sharing the gospel with the people who you're flying with. And so they are missionaries on the ground. They're in a lot of ways a support to missionaries, but they're also missionaries in their own right. I am the flight instructor for Inspiration Aviation Ministries right now. So I do flight training, I do ground school lessons with the teens, And then in the fall, Lord willing, we'll be able to start up a year-round ground school program, which I'll be helping teach. My favorite part of working with this ministry is the emphasis on like discipleship and how it's not just flying, because flying is awesome, but there's like a real purpose. And I get to work with the teens doing flight training and ground school. It's been really neat to see the connections with the families and also with the teens. You know, each individual teen is going through something unique and difficult. Everybody's struggling through something. And so to be able to encourage them in whatever they're going through is by far my favorite part of the whole thing, because it makes a real difference. And I know when I was that age, I needed people to do that for me. So just having the opportunity to pour into people's lives.
Well, first of all, when we bring them into the Bible study, we start to screen the students and really find out if they have an initial commitment. And then, because they're interested in aviation, either the mechanical aspects of an airplane or the flight, and maybe even so far as becoming a missionary pilot overseas, which does attract quite a few, we are able to bring the whole program together for them and then network them with our instructors and many other people in the aviation industry, but always with a focus to having Bible study as, you know, the nucleus of everything they're doing. Not only that, but learning how to perform community service in the name of Christ, going out to help whatever is needed in the local community, including like Wings of Grace does, and they have taught us this, rehabilitating buildings, helping with all kinds of work projects. This is what makes it successful. What we're doing with Inspiration Aviation Ministries at this point is trying to network with other Christian organizations. We've done so with Wings of Grace from Melbourne, Florida, and the leader there, Dwight Bell, has been instrumental in helping us find a full-time instructor, Morgan Schrack, who is with us now. She's been living in Maine and has settled here. We've also been blessed with the use of a private airfield in Newport, Maine, which is called Newport Sky Park. And the owners also have stables for horses. We're talking about possibly starting a horseback riding program and expanding to networking with more churches locally, getting a ground crew of church leaders to help us meet the demands of all of the students that we hope to attract on a year-round basis, to make a commitment to learning how to become not only pilots or mechanics, but most importantly, you know, missionaries on the ground for the good Lord. And that will take considerable commitment and Bible study, you know, on a weekly basis, to which they'll have to commit to.
So during summer camp last year, there was a young lady who came to the camp, and it's been kind of neat as a woman in aviation, because there aren't very many other women in aviation, to be able to kind of encourage other girls to pursue aviation. So I try and make connections, of course, with the ladies at the summer camp, even though there might only be a couple, one or two. But this young lady, we had a we just were doing our normal camp stuff. We were doing flight training, and I was kind of just busy about doing the flight training and ground school stuff during summer camp, which is just a busy week. And God, this young lady, her family were not believers. She was not a believer. She didn't really know much about the Lord. And we had these Bible studies each day at camp. And she came up to me after one of the Bible studies, and she started asking some of just really neat questions like that it just showed she was really paying attention and wanted to learn about the Lord. It's very like specific questions, and it was one of those moments where I kind of was like, Lord, how do I answer this? I don't, even some questions that challenged me that I was like, I don't really know the answer to that. Let's dig in the Word of God. And so I was able to show her a couple of scriptures to just try and answer her questions. But it was really cool to see in like a tangible way, a young lady, a teenager who wasn't a Christian, who hadn't been raised in a Christian family, to be able to have heard through these Bible studies that we were doing at camp. It wasn't like, sometimes we're all exhausted during the Bible study and it's like, is anyone even paying attention? But it was just neat to see that she was really paying attention, alert enough to not only be listening, but to want to ask questions later on in the day. And it was such a neat opportunity to be able to speak to her about the Lord. And she ended up, I don't know if she gave her life to the Lord or not, but it was just awesome to see like those seeds were being planted, and they really were being planted, not just falling on hard ground. So it's pretty sweet opportunity there.
We're hoping to have at least 15 students with us every year, continuing to learn through Bible study and also through the ground schools and the flight training programs. And from that initial crew, obviously, we will carefully select those that hopefully will go on to doing missionary work internationally. We have three graduates who are now serving, one in Hawaii, one in the Marshall Islands, and one in Indonesia, very, very successfully as missionary pilots. So that's something that we can hold up to as really good role models for those that are coming along now. We want to go and talk to a lot of the church leaders at the local churches. I mean, we've done so with Rockland, Maine, and the pastor there has committed not only his facilities, but also attracted several students who are interested in going into this ministry, as it were, on a more full-time basis. So as we network with local churches around the major cities and villages and towns in Maine, we find that that's a very successful way to do it. And those that show an interest in aviation, of course, we give them, an introductory flight, and usually that will get them going. They'll get really excited about continuing and make a greater commitment to the ministry and also getting their pilot's licenses. Now identifying more and more people around this area, for example, close to Newport, Maine, a lot of them who have been in the airlines, a lot who have been airplane and power plant mechanics that are showing an interest in what we're doing. So this will be crucial for us to not only talk to the clergy, as it were, but a lot of those that attend the churches, and we hope to gain their support as volunteers.
I would say prayers more than anything else. For folks who are here local in the Maine area, if you want to get involved and volunteer, even if it's just once or twice here and there, we would love to have some more hands on deck in any way, even if it's just to come out and help us clean up stuff or do some basic, or just help build relationships with teenagers. That's a big one. So volunteers, prayers more than anything, volunteers, and certainly, donations if you're unable to come out and help and you want to get involved. That's a huge blessing as well. Aviation's not a cheap field to be in. So to have people funding us and helping us keep the airplane in good condition and all those things is very, very much a blessing. So I would say those are the three main things.
Well, we would really ask for prayer for us to be able to get more resources from donors that obviously have the Lord in their heart and want to give, so that we can not only get the funds we need to keep our planes going, but also to conduct Bible study, to provide uniforms, to provide textbooks and learning materials, and ultimately we need another airplane. So anyone that can help us with that, we need prayer for that. And most importantly, we just pray that the Holy Spirit will guide us so we don't go in the wrong direction. Keep us safe. We're in a very risky business. We need to be safe, and we need to keep our heads up above the clouds, as it were. And we need the Lord's guidance in everything we do. People can be involved in our ministry by volunteering their time. If they're close to us in Maine or even in Florida, we'll welcome them. And also, from a distance, we need your support in terms of prayers and donations. And if you know of anyone that's interested in what we're doing, please refer them on to us. We'll be really happy to speak to them anytime.
If you're interested, if you're a teenager and you're interested in getting involved in aviation, if you've done a flight or never done a flight before, we do free discovery flights. If you've never flown in a small airplane before, we'd love to give you a little taste of what that looks like. And if you want to pursue it further, please get in touch with us. We have summer camps during the summer. We have a summer camp usually every year. And that lasts a week long, that we do actual flight training, not just discovery rides, but actual flight training that you can log in your logbook and count that towards your pilot's license in the future. So we do a summer camp usually every year. Even if you're not sure if you want to pursue aviation, if it's I don't know, it's kind of scary or I'm not really sure, come out and just try it out. It's always a good thing to try something new. And if you hate it forever, well, that's okay. Not everyone has to fly, but at least you can say you've tried it and you got to fly in an airplane. And so feel free to get in touch with us, and we'd love to meet you and get to know your story, and love to get you involved in aviation if that's what the Lord would have for you. So.
So I'm here at our Newport Sky Park, and on this property we have a barn that wasn't being used at all, and we started praying about looking into potentially doing some horse activity here, some sort of horse program, either with teens or doing boarding or something, and so the Lord actually opened the door and has brought volunteer Kylie. She's come in to help with the horse program, and we're getting our barn fixed up. We're praying about what direction the Lord would have us to go and how we can use this to serve Him here on this property. It was an opportunity that we didn't expect, as we were just looking at using this Sky Park property that we were allowed to use here for aviation, but now it seems like the Lord's opening the doors and providing the beginnings of some sort of horse program. So excited to see what the Lord's going to do through horses, just with the property that we're able to use here with this barn. And it's neat to see the Lord bringing people together, volunteers who are willing and passionate about kids, and also passionate about horses in ways that we didn't expect.
And then I met Morgan, about a year ago. She was already involved in the aviation ministry, and she had had an opportunity to move here to the place where they had just moved their location. And she called me one day, and she was like, "Hey, there's a barn there, and they said we can use it." And I was like so excited because I was like looking for something else to do for ministry. And I was so excited because at that point I was like, God, like, what do you want me to do? I was kind of getting a little discouraged, so she called it the perfect moment. So yeah, ever since then we've been talking and like cleaning up this barn and just hanging out, making lots of plans, as much as we can plan. I'm really excited to see what we're gonna do here. I don't know when we're gonna get horses here. I don't think it'll be super soon, but I'd like for it to be within a few months. Like, that'd be nice. It would be really nice to have like some kind of therapy here. I know they're talking about maybe boarding, which is really good too, because there's certainly enough space. Yeah, but right now we're just lots of planning, definitely cleaning, and just praying, waiting for God to let us know what to do next. If you are interested and want to get involved, we could definitely use the help.
Hello, this is our barn.